Annie. Annie, I need you to unmute yourself.
Morning, Judge.
Oh, it's going to be a long morning now. Annie, just listen, log off and log back on. Gregory, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear us?
Yes. Can they hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. I just can't see you.
Okay. What do I need to do?
I'm not certain because all I'm seeing is a
It told me start video and I hit start and then I can see you.
Desiree, you may need to tilt your screen. It looks like something is showing there, but it's not you.
Okay. I
Something's covering it.
okay. Oh,
I see your hand.
you see my hands?
Up at the top, I'll see your hand go across.
Don't know where the so now do you see the is this the camera? I thought the camera was up at the top.
You see it up here?
Yeah, whoever that is.
Huh?
Well, you're standing sideways, whoever the male is. You need to tilt,
So you can see me, so Desiree, can you stand up?
rotate your camera.
Oh,
You're
Can you-
upside down.
Fine.
I'm upside down.
That's okay.
How do I change it around? Do you know? I'm sorry.
This is how we're home. Is
Okay.
that better?
It is, if you come down a little bit, we still can't see her face.
Down. The camera should be right here.
Right, but why isn't it? Can you see my face yet?
Well, you were good back where you were a moment ago. It just wasn't enough. It's below your neck.
Okay.
You want me to hold it?
Can you see my face yet?
We're getting there. I apologize, Judge. No, we can't. You're either going to have to back up,
Let me hold it.
get a little distance so we can see your face.
That
Oh,
camera is down low on that computer or something. There's something blocking that camera angle right there.
And there is nothing on it.
Is it a bad?
Can we sign on to another computer?
Wait, let's see.
Can you see my?
Let me wipe this off. Hang on. Does that make a difference?
No, there's something black all the way, like 3/4 of the screen.
Right. Can we just sign on another computer?
That's fine. I'll come back to y'all.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Morning.
Harold, Paul, if you can, could you unmute yourself and turn on your video?
How's that?
There we go.
Thank you.
That works. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We're on the record in 24 CPR 040569, estate of Theodore David. Is it Einerson?
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Einerson, if you'd raise your right hand to be sworn by the court. You don't need that. Do you
Okay.
solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you provide here today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Very good. Mr. Sumner, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Nyerson, can you please state your full name for the court, please?
Harold Paul Einerson.
Do you also go by Paul Einerson?
I do.
And what was your relationship to the decedent?
The oldest son.
Okay. He passed away in Fort Bend County on January the 2nd, 2024 at the age of 91. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
He was a resident of this county when he passed?
Yes, sir.
The will that we have submitted to the court was the original copy of the last will and testament that you found. Is that right?
That's correct.
Your Honor, I'd ask you to take judicial notice of the will that's on file with the court. And if you would like me to, I can share my screen and show them the signature, but it's up to you.
Yeah, go ahead and share your screen, and the court shall take judicial notice.
Okay, thank you. And I've got, let's see here. All right. Screen 2. All right. Excellent. Do you see this document on your screen, Mr. Nyerson?
I do.
Okay, and I'm showing you the last page. Is that your father's signature?
Yes, it is.
And on the very last page as well, we've got, let's see, 2 witnesses, and also it's notarized. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, thank you. After the date of this will, dated again, February the 8th, 2019, did your father revoke this will to the best of your knowledge?
No,
Were any children born to or adopted by your father after the date of this will?
no,
Was any marriage dissolved after the date of this will?
no,
And the will does not name the state, a government agency of the state, or a charitable organization as a devisee. Is that correct?
that's correct.
And there is a need to administer your father's estate.
I think so.
There are claims that you need to bring on behalf of the estate with a current lawsuit. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And there, the size of your father's estate was non-taxable, i.e. it was not over $13 million. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Are you qualified to serve as the independent executor of your father's estate?
I am.
Okay. Your Honor, we'd ask that the last will be admitted to probate, that appraisers be waived, that Harold Einerson, i.e. Paul Einerson, be appointed as the independent executor to serve without bond.
All right, the court heard the testimony of Harold Paul Einerson, also known as Paul Einerson. He testified as to the proof of death, validity of the will, and other facts. The court will admit the will into probate and appoint Mr. Einerson as independent executor to serve without bond, and appraisers will be waived as well. And then also, Mr. Sumner, I will appoint you registered agent in this matter.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Einerson, I'm very sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
All right. Y'all are free to go. Have a good day.
Thank you, Your Honor. Take care.
Thank you.
Miss Cooper, you still have something blocking your camera.
We're,
We're trying to log on a different computer.
I got a different, my sister's got a different.
Sir, we're trying to log on to a different computer that has a camera that works right now. Apologize.
Okay, not a problem. Come back.
I apologize.
Not a problem. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Let's go ahead and get started. We're on the record in 24 CPR 040427, estate of Frank Garafola, aka, or also known as Francis Richard Garafola, also known as Frank R. Garafola. All those who intend to testify, if you would raise your right hand to be sworn by the court. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you provide here today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Very good. Counselor, you may take it from here.
Would you say your name, please?
Diane Lachelite,
And how did you know Frank Garafola?
a friend.
And was he also known as Francis Richard Garafola and as Frank R. Garafola?
Yes,
Did he die on November 30th, 2023 at the age of 79 years?
yes,
Was he a resident of Fort Bend County, Texas at the time of his death?
Yes.
Okay, we have filed with the court a document that purports to be the last will and testament of Frank Garafola, and I'm showing that to you now. Do you recognize this as a true and correct copy of Frank Garafola's last will and testament?
Yes, I do.
And we also filed a first codicil of Frank Garafola, a copy of which I'm showing you now. Do you recognize this as a true and correct copy of the first codicil of Frank
Yes.
Garafola?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Your Honor, I would ask the court to take judicial notice of its possession of the originals of these documents.
The court shall take judicial notice that the originals are on file.
Thank you. Diane, to the best of your knowledge, did Frank ever revoke either of these documents?
No,
And after the date of the will, did Frank Garafola have a marriage dissolved?
no,
After the date of the will, did Frank Garafola adopt or have born to him any children?
No.
Does the will or the codicil name a state agency, or charity as a beneficiary?
No.
Is there a need to administer this estate?
yes,
And does the will appoint you and Susan Provosserat to serve without bond as independent co-executrices?
yes,
That Susan waived the right to serve, is that true?
correct.
And is there any reason you would be disqualified to serve as independent executrix?
No.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. That's all I have.
All right, the court heard the testimony of Diane Ladiolis. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
That's fine.
She testified as to the proof of death, validity of the will, and other facts. The court will admit the will and codicil that was presented to the court into probate, and appoint Ms. Ladiolis as independent executrix to serve without bond, and appraisers will be waived as well. I'm sorry for the loss of your friend, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Rowan, anything further?
That is all. May we be excused?
Yes, you may. Have a good day.
Thank you, you too.
Mr. Dunham, good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Is that your client there with you?
Yes, it is.
Perfect.
Morning.
All right, let's go ahead and get started then. We're on the record in 24 CPR 040470, estate of Dickie Joe Sheridan. All those who intend to testify, if you raise your right hand to be sworn by the court. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you provide here today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Very good. Mr. Dunham, you may take it from here.
Thank you, Your Honor. Donald, would you state your name for the court?
Donald Ross Sheridan?
You're the son of Dickie Joe Sheridan, is that right?
Yes,
And your father passed away on November 18, 2023, is that correct?
that's correct.
He was 88 years old when he passed and a resident of Fort Bend County at the time.
Yes,
And obviously that was less than 4 years ago, correct?
yes.
Okay. And Your Honor, if I can share my screen, I'll put the
may
wheel
do
up. Okay. Let's see. Don, I'm showing you what we've submitted to the court as, do you identify that to be the will of your father, Dickie Joe Sheridan?
Yes, it is.
And is that his signature on the document?
Yes, it is.
And this is dated May 8th, 2020, is that correct?
That's correct.
As far as you know, he never revoked this document after he signed it, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, very good. Your Honor, ask the court to take judicial notice of the original will in the court's file.
Court shall take judicial notice.
Thank you, Your Honor. There's a necessity to administer your father's estate to take care of some IRAs and other accounts that he had, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, very good. After your father signed this will, were there any children born to or adopted by him?
No.
Okay, and he was married to your mother at the time he signed his will, and they remained married until she passed away, and then he later passed away.
That's correct.
Okay, very good. Does your father's will provide for any gifts to any charity to the state of Texas or to any agency of the state of Texas?
No.
Okay. You are appointed as the independent executor in your father's will to serve without bond, is that right?
That's correct.
You're not disqualified for any reason from acting in that capacity, are you?
No.
Okay, very good. Well, Your Honor, we'd, based on testimony, we'd ask that the last will and testament of Dickie Joe Sheridan be admitted to probate, that Donald Ross Sheridan be appointed as independent executor of the estate, and this is not a taxable estate, so we ask appraisers be waived.
All right, the court heard the testimony of Donald Ross Sheridan. He testified as to the proof of death, validity of the will, and other facts. The court will admit the will into probate, and appoint Mr. Sheridan as independent executor to serve without bond, and appraisers will be waived as well. Mr. Sheridan, I'm very sorry for your loss.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything further, Mr. Dunham?
Nothing else. I hope you had a great Easter weekend.
No, yeah, I did. I hope you had one as well. Thank
Your
you.
Honor.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Annie, I'm making you co-host. You need to notify everybody in the waiting room. It's going to be a while today because we have so many on the docket.
Yes, Judge.
Mr. Schwartz, good morning.
Good morning, Judge.
Is that your client there with you?
It is.
Very good. Let's go ahead and get started then. We're on the record in 24 CPR 040529, estate of Ronald Edward Pica. All those who intend to testify, if you would raise your right hand to be sworn by the court. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you provide here today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Very good. Mr. Schwartz, you may take it from here.
Okay, thank you, Judge. State your name, please.
Donna K. Pica.
And you are the surviving widow of Ronald Edward Pica, is that correct?
Correct.
And he died January 16, 2024 in Richmond, Fort Bend County, Texas.
Correct.
And he was a resident of Fort Bend County at the time of his death.
Correct.
And he was 66 years at the time of his death, and 4 years have not elapsed since the date of his death. Is that correct? Would you give us the will? Take a look at the will, Your Honor.
I will. Let me put it up on the screen for you.
All right. This is a picture of the will that you brought to my office, and this is his last will and testament. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you're familiar with his signature. Is that correct?
Correct.
And this is the will that he signed on the second day of October 2018. Is that correct?
Correct.
And this will has not been revoked. Is that right?
Correct.
And after the date of the will, no child was born or adopted. Is that right?
Correct.
No marriage was dissolved after it. Is that right?
Correct.
And no government agency of the state nor charitable organization is named by the will as a devotee. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you're asking the court to appoint you as the independent administrator or independent executrix. And you've never been convicted of a felony, correct?
Correct.
And so you're asking that you be appointed the independent executrix without bond, and there has been no contest to this, and letter and appraisers you're asking to be waived. Is that right?
Correct.
Your Honor, we would submit this will for probate.
All right, the court heard the testimony of Donna K. Pica. She testified as to the proof of death, fully the will, and other facts. The court will admit the will into probate and appoint Ms. Pica as independent executrix to serve without bond, and appraisers will be waived as well. Ma'am, I'm very sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Schwartz, anything further?
That's all, Your Honor.
All right, have a good day.
You bet.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Great.
Is that your client sitting next to you, Mr. Junker?
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect. Let's go ahead and get started then. We're on the record in 24 CPR 040457, the estate of Gloria Jean Finch. All those who intend to testify, if you'd raise your right hand to be sworn by the court. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you provide here today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Very good. Mr. Junker, you may take it from here.
Your Honor, before starting, we would ask the court take judicial notice that the original will is on file with the court.
The court shall take judicial notice.
All right. Karen, could you please state your full name for the record?
Karen Walden.
And Karen, did Gloria Finch die on January 18th, 2024 in Fort Bend County, Texas, was domiciled here, living here at the time of her passing, and it's not been 4 years since she passed away?
Yes.
Do you recognize this that I'm showing you as Gloria's last will and testament that she signed on September 30th, 2014, when she was of sound mind and at least 18, and she never revoked this will?
Yes.
Do you agree that Gloria did not have any children born to her or adopted by her after she signed this will, and she did not dissolve a marriage, meaning she did not get divorced or annul a marriage after signing the will?
Yes.
Did Gloria's will name you to serve as independent executrix to act independently without bond, and gave nothing in this will to the state of Texas, a governmental agency, or a charity?
Yes.
Do we need letters testamentary to administer this estate and transfer assets to the beneficiaries?
Yes.
And is there any reason you'd be disqualified from serving?
No.
Nothing further, Your Honor. We'd ask that you admit the will of Gloria Finch to probate. No bond, appraisers waived.
Order the testimony of Karen J. Walden. She testified as to the proof of death, validity of the will, and other facts. The court will admit the will into probate and appoint Ms. Walden as independent executrix to serve without bond, and appraisers will be waived as well. Ma'am, I'm very sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr.
Judge.
Anything further for the record?
Nothing further.
Y'all have a good day then.
Thank you.
Is Caitlin Travis also go by Caitlin Goodard? Yes.
Good morning, Judge.
Morning.
And Judge, if I may, there's one other attorney in the waiting room, a Phoebe Abraham. She's an associate at my firm who is just hoping to observe the hearing, if the court would be okay with that.
Fine. I'm going to bring her in right now.
Thank you so much. And Jane Marie, if you'll just unmute yourself so that Judge can hear you. Perfect.
All right. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, Judge.
All right, very good. Let's go ahead and get started. We're on the record in 23 CPR 039909. Estate of Ann R. Esposito. Miss, it's Eck.
Yes.
If you'd raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you provide here today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
Very good. Counselor, you may take it from here.
Thank you so much, Judge. And before we get started, I would just like to ask the court, we did file a motion for judicial notice of foreign law since this is a will that was executed in Florida. That was filed back in December 6th of last year. I'm not sure if the court has signed the order granting that motion yet, but if the court could do so.
I will do so, and I'll take judicial notice of that.
Great. Thank you so much, Judge. And then we'll go ahead and start the testimony for the applicant in this matter, Jean Marie Eck. And Jean Marie, would you just state your first and last name for the court, please?
Jean Marie Eck.
And Ann R. Esposito was your mom, is that correct?
Yes.
And your mom passed July 11th of last year in Brazoria County, Texas, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and although she passed in Brazoria, she was living in Fort Bend, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and she was residing at the Circles at Renway, which was located at 1602 Renway Drive in Missouri City, Texas, at the time of her passing, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And Jean Marie, your mom left a written will dated February 21st, 2022. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And Judge, are you going to share your screen or would you like me to hold that will up?
Well, I can share the screen. 1 second, please.
Perfect. Jean Marie, Judge is going to put the will on the screen here. This is the document that we submitted to the court. We're just going to make sure that you do recognize this document as your mom's last will and testament. Can you see the screen there?
I see it, and that is the document.
Okay, perfect. And Judge is going to scroll all the way to the end. Do you recognize that as your mom's signature above her name?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And as far as you're aware, did your mom ever revoke this will?
No.
Okay, and did she ever make a new will after she executed this one in 2022?
No.
Okay. And there is a need to administer your mom's estate and have you appointed as her estate representative. Is that correct?
Yes.
And after your mom made this will in 2022, did she have or adopt any additional children?
No.
And after she made this will in 2022, did she have any marriages dissolved by divorce, annulment, or declaration that the marriage was void?
No.
And the will named you, Jean Marie Esposito Eck, to serve as the independent personal representative of your mom's estate without the requirement of a bond. Is that correct?
Yes.
And Jean Marie, you are qualified to serve in that capacity. I'm going to quickly go over your 3 qualifications. Do you reside in the state of Texas?
Yes.
Have you ever been convicted of a felony offense?
No.
And have you ever been declared incapacitated by a court?
No.
Okay. And lastly, did your mom's will name the state of Texas, a governmental agency, or any charities as beneficiaries?
No.
Okay. And your sister has consented to you serving as the independent executor. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And Judge, I would have no further questions for this witness, and we'd ask that the will be admitted to probate.
All right, the court heard the testimony of Jean Marie Esposito Eck. She testified as to the proof of death, believe the will, and other facts. The court will admit the will into probate, and appointments act as independent executrix to serve without bond, and appraisers will be waived. Ma'am, I'm very sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Counselor, anything further for the record?
I don't think so, Judge. I don't practice in your court very often, so I just want to make sure Jean Marie can go have her proof and oath signed in the presence of a notary now. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, perfect. We'll take care of it. And Annie, I appreciate all your help getting us set up for this today.
Thank you. Well, have a good
Thank you
day.
so much, Judge. Appreciate it.
We're going to go back to number 1 on the docket so we can wrap up the first page. All right. Good morning. Let's just unmute you real quick. You'd unmute yourself. There we go.
Yes. Okay.
All right. Can everybody hear me?
I can.
Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and get started. We're on the record in 24 CPR 040544. A state of, is it Dorcas Marine C. Hunter?
Yes.
I apologize.
Yes.
If I pronounced that. Anybody who intends to testify, if you'd raise your right hand. So Ms. Cooper, if you'd raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you provide here today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Yes, sir.
Very good. You can lower your hand. Ms. Gregory, you may take it from here.
All right. You are Desiree Dawn Hunter Cooper,
Yes, ma'am.
correct?
Yes,
Right.
ma'am.
And there was a will shown to us and then presented to the court that is the last will and testament of your mother. And the court has that will in their possession. I'm going to ask you, this is a copy of the will. Do you recognize this as being the signature
Ms.
of
Gregory,
your mother?
I'll share my screen. It'll make it a lot easier for her.
All
to
right.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes, you're very welcome. All right.
Okay.
Ms. Cooper, you should see my screen now.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Ms. Gregory.
All right. So this is the will that's been filed with the court. And do you recognize your mother's signature on the bottom of this page?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
and then, all right, this is the final page. Do you recognize this as being her signature?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Then I have a few questions for you. Thank you. Did your mother die? Dorcas Maureen Hunter is your mother, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And did she die December 29th, 2023 in Richmond, Fort Bend County?
Yes, ma'am.
Was she 97 years of age?
Yes, ma'am.
Was she at least 18 years of age when the will was signed, and was she of sound mind?
Yes, ma'am.
And not only the will, but there was also a codicil to this will. So she was obviously over the age of 18 at that time also. Was the will and then the codicil executed with the formalities, everything that's required for proper signature of a will?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Has it been more than 4 years since her death?
No.
Was your mother a resident of Richmond, Fort Bend County at the time of her death?
Yes, ma'am.
Did your mother ever revoke her will?
No, ma'am.
Has there been any contest filed to this? Oh, the court has put up for us the codicil, asking if you recognize your mother's signature on the codicil as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Were there any children born or adopted to your mother after she signed either the will or the codicil?
No, ma'am.
Was your mother divorced after the execution of the will or the codicil?
No, ma'am.
Is there any state government or a charity named as a beneficiary in your mother's will?
No, ma'am.
Did your mother receive any Medicaid benefits?
No, ma'am.
Are you named as an executrix in the first codicil to the will?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you disqualified by law from serving as the executrix?
No, ma'am.
Have you ever been convicted of a crime of theft, fraud, or any type of moral turpitude?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Is there any reason you should not be appointed by this court, other than you couldn't operate your computer this morning? But other than that, any reason you should not be appointed by this court to serve as the independent executrix of the estate of Dorcas Maureen C. Hunter?
No, ma'am.
Do you request that the court admit this will to probate and the first codicil to the will into probate and issue you letters testamentary as the independent executrix?
Yes, ma'am.
And prior to today, we had mailed you a proof of death and other facts. You had an opportunity to read all of those. And were those statements, or are those statements, true and correct?
Yes, ma'am.
I have nothing further.
All right, the court heard the testimony of Desiree Dawn Hunter Cooper. She testified as to the proof of death, validity of the will, and the codicil as well, presented to the court. The court will admit the will and single codicil into probate and appoint Ms. Cooper as independent executrix to serve without bond, and appraisers will be waived as well. Ms. Cooper, I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm glad we could finally get this taken care of this morning, got your computer working.
And I thank you, sir, for being patient with us.
Not a problem. Y'all have a good day.
You too.
Yeah, you too, Judge.
Yes. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. There it goes.
Are we at? Do they take us off? I don't know.
Carson, can you turn your video on, please? Mr. Carson, you there?
Yes. Yes. There we go. Start. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Can you hear us, Your Honor?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, you started. Well, it's not starting. For some reason, the video is not starting. Your camera.
Your connection's a
Hello.
little unstable. You're breaking up with your audio.
Okay. Okay. Patrick, can you see reach? Here it is. I don't understand.
We'll come right back to you. Who's filling in for Mr. Chadwick? Do we not know?
I haven't been informed that anybody else would fill in for him. It's Mr. Chadwick who is supposed to be the one.
Okay, we're moving on to the next case after that then. Good morning,
Good
Mr.
morning,
West.
Your Honor. Good morning.
Now, it's my understanding on the Iker matter, you're going to be proving up the will.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, let's go ahead and get started. We're on the
Okay.
record 24 CPR 040506, the state of Lydia T. Iker, Lydia, and also known as Lydia Teresa Iker, Lydia Bowetz Iker. And I apologize if I mispronounced the name altogether. So, Ms. Flores, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. My name is Benicia Flores, and I represent Patrick D. Iker, and I am familiar with the facts of this case. Lydia T. Iker died on January 13th, 2024 in Rosenberg, Fort Bend County, Texas at 96 years of age, and 4 years have not passed since she has died. This court has jurisdiction and venue over the estate because Ms. Iker was domiciled and had a fixed place of residence in Fort Bend County on the date of her death. Your Honor, would you please display the will?
I will. Give me 1 second. Let me pull it up.
Sure. Thank you. I am looking at what purports to be Lydia T. Iker's will that is dated February 22nd, 2002. The will is self-proved, and as far as I know, this will was never revoked. And citation has been served and returned in the manner and for the period required by the Estates Code. A necessity exists for the administration of Lydia T. Iker's estate. No state, government agency of the state, nor a charity is named as a beneficiary in the will. After the will, no child was born to nor adopted by the decedent, and no marriage was dissolved after the will was made. The decedent's will names Patrick D. Eicher to serve as independent executor without bond or other security. Patrick D. Eicher is qualified by law to serve as independent executor, and he's entitled to receive letters testamentary. Your Honor, this is a non-taxable estate. We ask that appraisers be waived and that the will of Lydia T. Eicher be admitted to probate and Patrick D. Eicher be issued letters testamentary.
All right, the court heard the testimony of Benicia Flores. She testified as to the proof of death, fully the will, and other facts. The court will admit the will into probate and appoint Patrick D. Eicher as independent executor to serve without bond, and appraisers will be waived as well.
Thank you.
All right, you're next on the docket as well, Ms. Flores. You're the next two cases, the Alvarez cases. We're going to start with Esperanza.
Yes.
And then we'll move into the next case after that.
Okay.
We go ahead and bring Elizabeth in.
Your Honor, would you like Elizabeth to share her video?
I would. I've sent her a request.
Oh. There we go.
Okay, there you go. I'm sorry about that.
All right. Let's go ahead and get started. We're on the record in 24 CPR 040484, State of Esperanza Alvarez. Ms. Alvarez, if you would raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you provide here today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
Very good. Ms. Flores, you may take it from here.
Thank you. Elizabeth, please state your name for the court.
Elizabeth Alvarez.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And is it true that your mother, Esperanza Alvarez, died on January 23rd, 2021 in Harris County, Texas at 89 years of age, and that 4 years have not passed since her death?
Yes, but it's Fort Bend County, actually.
It was Fort Bend when
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great. And is it true that this court has jurisdiction and venue over the estate because your mother was domiciled and had a fixed place of residence in Fort Bend County, Texas?
Yes.
Thank you. And is it true that your mother left a will that was self-proved and signed on October 10th in the year 2000?
Yes.
Your Honor, may we please see a copy of her, the original, actually? Okay. Elizabeth, do you recognize this to be your mother's will? And
I do.
Okay. And do you recognize that to be your mother's signature?
Yes.
Thank you. Your Honor, we respectfully ask that you take judicial notice that the original will is on file with the court.
The court shall take judicial notice.
Thank you. And Elizabeth, to the best of your knowledge, your mother did not revoke this will?
Yes, and she did not.
And after the date of the will, is it true that no child was born to or adopted by your mother?
Yes, true.
Is it true that after the will was made, no marriage of your mother's was dissolved?
True, yes.
And is it true that no state, government agency of the state, or no charity is listed as a beneficiary in your mother's will?
Yes, true.
And is it true that your mother did not apply for nor receive Medicaid benefits after March 1 of 2005?
Yes.
And is it true that you have investigated the affairs of your mother, and to the best of your knowledge and belief, her estate does not owe any unpaid debt other than a debt secured by a lien on real estate, and there is no necessity for the administration of her estate?
Yes.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Your Honor, we ask that the will of Esperanza Alvarez be admitted to probate as a muniment of title.
Court heard the testimony of Elizabeth Alvarez. She testified as to the proof of death, validity of the will, and other facts. The court will admit the will into probate as a muniment of title, and I'll waive the affidavit of fulfillment of terms as well.
Oh, thank you.
Ms. Alvarez, I'm very sorry for your loss,
Thank you.
but don't leave yet, because we're actually going to handle, I believe, your father's
Yes.
estate as well. Okay.
Yeah.
1 second while I get everything pulled up. All right, we're on the record in 24 CPR 040485, the state of Gabriel Alvarez. Miss Alvarez, you're still under oath. Miss Flores, you may begin.
Thank you. Elizabeth, well, please state your name for the court one more time for this case.
Elizabeth Alvarez.
Thank you. And is it true that your father, Gabriel Alvarez, died on September 30th, 2023 in Katy, Fort Bend County, Texas at 93 years of age?
Yes.
And it's true that 4 years haven't passed since he passed away, correct?
Yes.
And is it true that this court has jurisdiction venue over his estate because your father was domiciled and had a fixed place of residence in Fort Bend County, Texas on the date of his death?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd like to ask Elizabeth about the will next. Elizabeth, is it true that your father left a will that was self-proved and signed on August 31st, 2022?
Yes.
And do you recognize this to be your father's will as it scrolls through the screen?
Yes.
And do you recognize that to be your father's signature?
Yes.
Thank you. Your Honor, we respectfully ask that you take judicial notice that the original will is on file with the court.
The court shall take judicial notice.
Thank you. And Elizabeth, to the best of your knowledge, is it true that your father did not revoke that will?
Yes, he did not.
And after the date of the will, is it true that no child was born to your father?
Yes.
And is it true that after the will, no marriage of your father's was dissolved?
Yes.
And is it true that no state, government agency, nor charity is a beneficiary of your father's will?
Yes.
And is it true that your father did not apply for nor receive Medicaid benefits after March 1 of 2005?
Yes.
And is it true that you've investigated the affairs of your father, Gabriel Alvarez, and to the best of your knowledge and belief, his estate does not know any unpaid debt other than debt secured by lien on real estate, and there is no necessity for the administration of the estate, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Your Honor, we ask that the will of Gabriel Alvarez be admitted to probate as a muniment of title.
The court heard the testimony of Elizabeth Alvarez. She testified as to the proof of death, validity of will, and other facts. The court will admit the will into probate as a muniment of title, and I'll waive the affidavit of fulfillment of terms as well. Again, Ms. Alvarez, I'm very sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Ms. Flores, anything further?
No, Your Honor, that's it. That's all we have.
Thank you. You'll have a good day.
You too.
Good morning, Judge.
Morning. All right, can everybody hear me?
Yes, sir. Judge.
Mr. Pickett, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, perfect. All right, we're on the record in 24 CPR 040372, estate of Joseph William Pickett. All those who intend to testify, if you would raise your right hand to be sworn by the court. Do each of you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you provide here today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Very good. Mr. Hayes, you may take it from here.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Rowe, would you please state your name for the court?
Jill Pickett Rowe.
And how are you related to the decedent?
I'm his daughter.
And Mr. Pickett, would you please state your name for the court?
Patrick William Pickett, son.
Son. Thank you. Mr. Pickett, I would ask that you pay special attention to the questions I'm going to ask your sister, as when I'm through questioning her, I will ask you if you agree with those answers or would answer any of those questions differently. Ms. Rowe, is it true that your father passed away on September 6th of 2023, and at the time of his death, he was a resident of Fort Bend County?
Yes, but he passed away on September 26th.
September 26th, excuse me.
Okay.
Yes. And you've had occasion to review the instrument that is dated October 1st, 2010, that purports to be your father's last will and testament. Is that correct?
Yes.
And do you in fact recognize that document to be his valid last will and testament?
Yes.
Counselor,
And
would you like me to show that on the screen to help with your questioning?
Yes, Judge. I was just about to ask the court to take judicial notice.
The court shall take judicial notice the original is on file, and I'm now sharing the screen with the will.
And Ms. Rowe, the instrument that the judge has shared with us, do you recognize that instrument? And when you get to the end, your father's signature on that instrument to be his valid last will and testament?
I do.
Perfect. And to the best of your knowledge, when your father executed that instrument, he was over the age of 18 and of sound mind, correct?
Correct.
And to the best of your knowledge, your father never revoked that will. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And is it true that your father's will names Barbara Jean Horvath Pickett as the independent executor? However, she predeceased him on May 26th of 2018?
Correct.
And is it true that under these facts and circumstances, your father's will names yourself and your brother, Patrick William Pickett, as the independent co-executors of his estate?
Correct.
And is it true that you are entitled by law to letters testamentary for the estate of the decedent and that you are not disqualified from accepting such letters?
Correct.
Is it true that no child was born to or adopted by your father after the making of the will?
Correct.
And is it true that no marriage of the decedent was ever dissolved after the will was made, other than a marriage that was dissolved due to the death of Barbara Jean Horvath Pickett?
Correct.
Okay, and is it true that the decedent did not name the state of Texas, a governmental agency of the state of Texas, or a charitable organization as a devotee under that will?
Correct.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Rowe. Mr. Pickett, did you hear all the questions that I just asked your sister?
Yes, sir.
And would you answer those questions with the same answers?
Yes, sir.
And is it true that you are entitled by law to letters testamentary and you're not disqualified from accepting those letters testamentary?
I'm good. Yes.
Okay. Judge, that's all the questions I have. We're asking that the court appoint Jill Pickett Rowe and Patrick William Pickett as independent co-executors of the decedent's estate and that appraisers be waived.
All right, according to the testimony of Jill Pickett Rowe and Patrick William Pickett, they testified as to the proof of death, validity of the will, and other facts. The court will admit the will and probate and appoint both Mr. Patrick William Pickett and Miss Jill Pickett Rowe as independent executors, serve without bond, and appraisers will be waived in this matter. I'm very sorry for y'all's loss.
Thank you.
Mr. Hayes, anything further for the record?
I do not have anything further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Good. Thank y'all. You have a good day.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Mr. Carson,
Hear us?
barely.
Your Honor.
Mr. Carson, you're breaking up.
Hear it? Unstable.
It seems that you've got a
Can you come back, Your Honor?
poor internet connection. You might want to try a different device or a different source to connect. I'll come back to you. Mr. Lockings, are you there?
Yes, Judge, I'm present, just trying to do two Zooms at the same time. I put them on mute and I am here. And so is my client. Apologize for that inconvenience, Your Honor.
That's okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. We're on the record in 23 CPR 040132. The state of Alicia Rodriguez. Ms. Rodriguez, if you'd raise your right hand to be sworn by the court. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you provide here today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
Very good. You can lower your hand. Mr. Lockings, you may proceed with your prove up.
Thank you, Judge. Are you interrupted by the background from the other court?
I'm okay with it right now, but if my court reporter has an issue with it, I'd ask that you try to mute it or turn it off. Stephanie, you have a problem?
Thank you, Judge.
Not yet.
Okay.
So far, so good.
Would you state your name for the court, please?
Gracie Rodriguez.
And Ms. Rodriguez, you understand that we're here for probating the will of your grandmother as muniment of title.
Yes.
You also understand that the reason we're doing that is because of the delay in getting this will filed before the court for probating.
Yes.
Was your grandmother domiciled in Sugar Land at the time of her death?
Yes.
And was she 83 years old at that time?
Yes.
And would it also be a testimony that she died on March 7th, 2005?
Yes.
Are you saying that this court has jurisdiction over this case because she lived in Fort Bend County at the time?
Yes.
Would it also be your testimony that she had an estate of about $140,500?
Yes.
And right now, that was really just the land that she owned.
Yes.
There was some issues that the court needs to be clear on, and if you could explain in your own words.
I'm sorry, if you could explain what, sir, if you could speak up.
In your own words, the delay in getting the will filed, because if I understand it, your mother predeceased your grandmother.
Correct.
And when she predeceased your grandmother, the will essentially said that your mother was her primary heir in the will. And in the event something occurred where she couldn't do it or her death, then you would be the next person in line.
Yeah.
Are there any other heirs?
No.
And if necessary, Judge, I have a copy of the will in front of me for her as well to basically confirm that she recognizes this document and ask the court to take judicial notice of the actual will, and we did file the original. You recognize this document, ma'am?
I'll put the original up on the screen, sir.
Judge,
Yes,
do
I
you
do.
recognize that as the original will?
Yes.
Do you recognize that as her signature?
Yes, I do.
As far as you know, that will had never been revoked, destroyed, or anything else as it relates to her. Is that correct?
Correct.
And right now, you would ask the court to admit this will to probate as a human title as well.
Yeah.
Are there any charitable organizations, beneficiaries under this will?
No.
And even though she had some Medicaid benefits, she has no outstanding Medicaid bills or debt that you're aware of. Medicare.
Correct.
Okay. And if there were any, you would know it, correct?
Yes.
Now, there are no other children as well that were born or adopted by your mother.
No.
So are you telling the court that you are the only heir? I'm sorry. And she was never divorced as well.
My grandma.
Right.
Right.
Are you telling the court that you are the only heir and asking that this will be admitted as muniment of title?
Right.
I'll pass the witness, Judge.
Can I get some additional testimony of why the will was not probated within 4 years? I understand that I got the testimony that her mother predeceased her grandmother, but I think we kind of missed that next step of, did she have an understanding that the will was already probated, or what was the reason that it was not probated?
That's okay, Judge. That's mine. I agree. When did you first find out about this will, that it existed?
Just about a year ago, I was going through some papers because my house had flooded, and I came across this. I had no idea that she had a will at the time. She never discussed it with me or told me where it was located at. So I just came across it.
And when you came across it, is that when you contacted my office and asked us what should we do, even though you just found it?
Yes.
And I told you that we would ask the court to understand that you had no idea about this will. We would have to process it through the courts for it to be effective. Even though it was old, you still would have to go through the court because you had knowledge of it.
Yeah.
I pass the witness, Judge.
All right. Court heard the testimony of Graciela Rodriguez. She testified as to the proof of death, the will, and other facts. The court finds that Graciela Rodriguez is not in default for failing to offer the will for probate within 4 years of decedent's death. The court will admit the will into probate as a muniment of title, and I'll waive the affidavit of fulfillment of terms as well. Ma'am, I'm very sorry for your loss.
Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Lockings, anything further?
No, Your Honor, that would be all for us, and thank you for your consideration.
All right, thank you. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you. Bam. I'm done.
Is someone filling in for Mr. Simpson?
Judge, I have not been notified. I'll reach out to his office.
I have nobody in the waiting room other than Mr. Novi for the next case. Contact the office. Mr. Carson, can you hear me? Mr. Carson, can you hear me? Come back to you again, Mr. Carson.
Judge, it's going to be Michael Adams.
Filling in for Mr. Simpson.
Yes, and I did notify his office, so please let us know if someone's going to do that. So, because we have no idea. They won't let us.
Fine. We'll come back to them next. Ms. Longoria,
Good morning, Your Honor.
good morning. Can you tell me who the caseworker is for Harris County that's going to be appearing?
Rosalia Adende, she is and her supervisor. There she is, Rosalia Ledesma. She's the current case manager.
Okay. Everybody hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Mr. Monroe.
There we go.
All right. We're on the record in 23 CPR 039687, guardianship of Lori Schisler or Scheisler. All those who intend to testify, if you'd raise your right hand. Each of you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you provide here today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God.
I do.
All right. Mr. Dronde, if you'd please unmute yourself.
Rosalia, there you go.
Sorry, apologies.
That's okay. All right. We're here for a successor, appointment of a successor guardianship in this matter. Let's just get a little testimony for the record. And I believe Mr. Monroe's organization, Brazos Ben, will be the accepting organization for the ward. So who would like to get us started?
Your Honor, I can start with Rosalia.
Very good.
And Your Honor, just as a refresher, Harris County Guardianship Program is a public agency, and the case of Lori Schisler was in probate court number 1 in Harris County, and we transferred that case to Fort Bend. And so now we're in the process of applying to resign as the guardian. And with that, would like to proceed, and I'd call my first witness, Rosalia. Would you please state your full name before the record?
Sure, it's Rosalia Ledesma Andrade.
And Rosalia, is it correct that you're the case manager currently for Lori Schisler?
Yes.
And who are you employed by?
Harris County Guardianship Program.
And is it correct that Lori is one of your clients?
Yes.
And is it correct that the Harris County Guardianship Program has served as guardian of the person for Lori Schisler since the year 2000? Is that correct?
To my knowledge, yes.
Okay. She's lived in her current placement since 2017, but you are aware that the Harris County Guardianship Program became her guardian in 2020.
Yes.
And is it correct that the case was transferred out of Harris County to Fort Bend in 2023?
Yes.
And is it correct that the Harris County Guardianship Program serves as guardian of the person only?
Yes.
And are you asking this honorable court to allow Harris County Guardianship Program to resign as the person, for the person of Lori Schisler?
Yes.
And when was the last time you had an opportunity to visit with Laurie?
I just saw her this past month. Do you need the exact date? Because I would need to look it up because it's on my itineraries.
No, but you can, with accuracy, establish that you visited with her in
Yes.
March of 2024. Is
I
that
did.
right?
Yes, at the residence I have. Yes.
And she's currently residing at 703 East Palm Street in Fresno, Texas.
Yes, she is.
And are you requesting that Kirk Monroe with Brazos Bend Guardianship Program become her successor guardian?
Yes, I am.
And how is Laurie doing, by the way?
She's doing very well. Her current placement is satisfactory. She chooses not to go to a day program, so she just basically participates in facility activities, watches TV, reads, but her current placement is appropriate for her.
Okay. And do you have any concerns at all, or is she doing
No
what you
concerns.
expect? Okay.
Yeah, she's doing well.
I pass a witness, Your Honor.
Ms. May, any questions?
I have no questions, Your Honor.
All right, very good. I'll grant the resignation of Harris County Guardianship Program from the guardianship of Lori Schisler. Let's go ahead and get some testimony from Mr. Monroe accepting the appointment. Who'd like to get us started on that?
Your Honor, I can question Mr. Monroe.
That'll be fine.
Would you please state your name for the record?
Kirk Monroe.
And what is your business or profession?
I'm the executive director with Brazos Bend Guardianship Services.
And when did you first become aware that the Harris County Guardianship Program wanted you to become the successor guardian for Laurie?
Oh, it was back in, let's say, spring, summer of 2023.
And is it correct, or from your understanding, that Laurie has lived in Fort Bend since 2017, Más o menos?
Yes.
And she is in a licensed personal care home?
That is correct.
And is it correct that Harris County Guardianship Program serves as guardian of the person only?
Yes.
And those are the types of cases your program is able to handle?
Yes, that's correct.
And is it right that Melissa May is the attorney who represents the bank who handles the special needs trust?
Yes.
So you don't have anything to do with that. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Unless, of course, perhaps you may need some funds from that special needs trust. And in that event, I guess Melissa can inform us on how that works. And are you accepting the guardian of the person for Lori Schisler?
Yes, I am.
And that's all the questions I have for Mr. Monroe.
Okay. And Miss May, y'all will remain on the 1301.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. I'm going to grant the appointment of a successor guardianship to Brazos Bend Guardianship Services and guardianship of Lori Schisler. The 1301 Management Trust will stay with its Cadence Bank, correct, Miss May? I'm so sorry.
Yes, Judge, it's Cadence Bank.
We'll stay with Cadence Bank, but there is a change in the guardian over the person.
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
Good luck to you.
Yes. Thank you. And can you tell
You
me
know
what
the drill.
Yeah,
So-
the amount of the bond.
Yeah, it'll be a minimum bond, like I always said it, $50.
Okay. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
All right, y'all are free to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Is Mr. Sumner joining us on the next case? No, okay. Annie, I have a Mercedes BN in the waiting room. You know who that is?
Judge, I don't have her on any of my paperwork.
Okay.
I'll message her and ask her who she's here for.
Very good.
Video starting, Judge.
There we go. All right, we're still waiting on Mr. Lay to connect. Mr. Lay, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes. How are you?
Very good, very good. All right, let's go ahead and get on the record. We're on the record in 24 CPR 040394, state of Richard M. Newton. Excuse me. I'm on the wrong case. 1 second. Hold up the wrong one here. Hold on. Now we're on the record in 22 CPR 038483, guardianship of Norman Lay. All right, Mr. McCullough, your guardianship report, your guardian ad litem report is on file, but let's go ahead and you want to put it on the record. So proceed.
Well, Judge, first I'd ask the court to take judicial notice of the file in this matter, and that the guardian ad litem report was filed on September 7th, 2023.
Court shall take judicial notice of the guardianship file and the report filed on September 7th of 2023.
Judge, just for the court's information, I was appointed on January 24th, 2023 to investigate this matter. There was a suggestion of a need for a guardianship filed by an Arthur Lay, who is the father of Norman Lay. After receiving that appointment, I did my investigation. I spoke with Arthur Lay. I spoke with his ex-wife, who is the mother of Norman Lay. I spoke with Norman Lay as well. I reached out to medical personnel who had been treating Mr. Lay, as well as doing research, background checks, all that kind of information. So essentially, this is a case, Judge, where there is not a need for a guardianship, in my opinion. Mr. Lay is not suffering from any type of mental disability. There has been no physician certification filed in this matter, nor am I expecting any. When I spoke to Arthur Lay, the father who filed the suggestion of a need for guardianship, he was a little confused as to the purpose of a suggestion of a need for a guardianship. Some of the concerns that he had regarding his son were involving some of his son's financial decisions and things of that nature, which I told him I understood. But his son currently is employed as a substitute, or correction, as a teacher for, I believe, Katy or Fort Bend ISD. Norman, I'm not sure which one I remember.
Katy ISD.
Okay. He teaches special ed, Judge. He has his own apartment. He has 2 master's degrees. He has no open or pending criminal cases. So in my mind, Judge, there is no need for a guardianship. This was just an error by his father in understanding exactly what a guardianship is and when it's required and when it's needed. So I filed my report on that, Judge, and in conversations, the court had asked for a hearing to place all this on the record. So that's why we're here today, Judge.
Mr. Lay, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you provide here today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Yes, I do.
Do you disagree with any statement made by Mr. McCullough?
I do not.
Okay. And you are employed where again?
Katy ISD.
And how long have you been employed there?
I've been with Katy for 1 year, since August.
And prior to being your employment with Katy ISD, where were you employed?
I was with Fort Bend ISD for 8 years. And then I had 1 year where it was after COVID. I was a dedicated substitute from 2020 to 2022. And it was a special COVID role. The reason I stayed on as a substitute is because they were paying, a good amount. So, but I resigned from there in April of 2022. Decided I was up in the air about whether or not I wanted to teach anymore. So I actually went to work for Wells Fargo as a teller, and then I worked for Starbucks. And then in August of 2023, I went back into teaching.
What is your belief as to why this request for guardianship was filed, excuse me?
Well, I mean, my financial, I'm actually, there was a time when I was thinking about filing Chapter 7, or Chapter 7. I had a lot of credit that it was a situation where my dad thought I was manic and I was making decisions that were, not good financial decisions. I had kind of a gambling problem for a while. And it was, so, when I just kind of listened to my dad and I was like, well, I mean, and then I think what he did was he heard that, my degrees are in psychology. So from my understanding, Britney Spears had a borderline personality, or and I don't know if it was a situation where there was psychosis so anyways, he was listening into that and thinking maybe it would be a situation like that where, someone would take over my finances. But I mean, my finances are still not perfect, but I mean, I don't think I'm in any way incapacitated. I mean, I'm not at all, perfect in terms of, I haven't had a high income my whole adult life. So, and I've made some wrong credit decisions.
So let me make sure I've got this straight. The whole
Yes.
reason your father applied for this guardianship was because he was concerned about your finances and your ability to manage money.
Yes.
And then secondly, beyond that, he was probably concerned about a gambling problem you had.
Yes.
But outside of that, there are no other reasons why he applied for this guardianship.
No, there was never any kind of, I mean, I'm of sound mind from my opinion, but
And Mr. Lay, did your father have notice did he know about today's hearing?
I told him, yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
I
so he
told
was
him.
aware of today's hearing. I want the record to reflect that your father, who applied for this guardianship, is not present at this hearing. All right,
Yes.
Mr. Lay, here's what I'm doing. One, I'm making a finding that a guardianship is not warranted in this case. And secondly, I'm dismissing this matter.
Okay.
So it is now complete. You are free to go. Good luck with your finances.
Judge, may I have a quick question for you, Judge?
Yes.
Judge, just FYI, for the record, I did communicate with Mr. Sumner. He was aware of this as well as Mr. Lay. They were provided an opportunity to respond to the Zoom notice and everything. So there have been multiple conversations regarding this hearing date. Additionally, Judge, we'd ask to the extent possible that this matter be sealed or deemed confidential. Mr. Lay has indicated to me that he is going to start the process for potentially entering law school. As the court could be aware, this information that's public could be embarrassing in certain circumstances. So we'd ask the court to seal it to the extent the court is able.
I'm making a docket entry ordering the clerk's office to seal the entire file.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
Right. Thank you all for the information. You all are free to go.
Thank you, Judge. Everyone have a great day. Thank you, Mr.
You
Lay.
do the same.
Thanks, Mr. McCallum.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Adams, good morning.
Good morning, Judge.
Is everybody with you?
They are here. Why don't you ladies come back and stand so you can be sworn in? I've got the applicant and 2 witnesses here with me.
Okay, very good. Let me get Mr. Novi on here, then I'm going to get us on the record. I'll swear everybody in. Mr. Novi, you there?
I'm here, Judge. Thank you.
All right, outstanding. Let's go ahead and get started. We're on the record in 23 CPR 039794, state of Valentin Torres Tapia. All those who intend to testify, if you would raise your right hand to be sworn by the court. Each of you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you provide here today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God.
I do.
Very good. All right, Mr. Adams, you may get us started.
Okay. Our first
We'll start with
witness
the
in this-
airship first. Let's take care of the airship.
Yes.
here, and then we'll move
Airship
into
first. Okay. Our first witness is Cecilia Barry.
Yes.
Okay. Cecilia, would you state your full name for the judge?
Cecilia Reyes Bowery.
Okay. And how were you related to, or how did you know Valentin Torres Tapia?
He's a family friend.
Okay. How long did you know Mr. Tapia?
32 years.
Okay. So you feel like you're very well acquainted with his family history.
Yes.
Okay. And did Mr. Tapia pass away on May 18th of 2021?
Yes.
Okay. And he lived in Fort Bend County at the time of his death. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know of any written will that Mr. Tapia would have left upon his passing?
No. I don't
Okay.
think-
You never heard about there being a will that he wrote?
No.
Okay. And was Mr. Tapia married?
Yes.
And was his wife Reynald
Reynald
Reyes Tapia?
Tapia.
Yes, she's
Yes.
here this morning with us, right? She's
Yes.
present here this morning.
Yes.
Okay. And was that the only marriage that Mr. Tapia ever had?
Yes.
Okay, so he was never divorced, of course.
No
Okay,
divorce.
okay. And what about children born to Mr. Tapia? How many children did he have?
3.
Okay, and can you name those children?
The first one is Valerie Tapia. Second one is Jennifer Tapia, and the last one, the youngest one is Alexander Tapia.
Okay, Valerie, Jennifer, and Alexander. Okay, and you never heard of there being any other children?
No. I don't think
Adopted,
so.
adopted or born to
No,
them,
I don't
or
think
anybody else they raised in their home that might have been a child?
No,
Okay,
I don't
never
think
heard of
so.
anything like that.
No.
Okay. And is Reynald Reyes Tapia the mother of these 3 children?
Yes.
Okay, so all 3 of the children were born to the marriage of Valentine and Reynald.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. And my last question for you, do you have any financial interest in Mr. Tapia's estate?
No.
You're not an heir or claiming to be an heir?
No.
Okay. I'll pass this witness.
Mr. Novi.
Thank you, Judge. Cecilia, I sent you a questionnaire and you were very nice and filled that questionnaire out and sent it back to me. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Questionnaire.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Have any of the answers changed since you sent that questionnaire back to me?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. All right. Just a few quick questions. First of all, thank you for being here to help make this case. Did Valentine ever take any other child into his house that was not born of his marriage? And did he consider that child to be his own?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. And obviously, you don't have any claims against this estate. In other words, Valentine didn't owe you any money or anything like that. Is that correct?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
Do you know if there was a search made for his will?
Yeah, I know the wife did.
Okay.
She found nothing.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Judge. I pass this witness.
Our next witness, Mr. Adams.
Okay, thank you. Our next witness is Evangeline Bernardino.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Evangeline, would you state your full name for the judge?
It's Evangeline Alonso Bernardino.
Okay, and how did you know Valentin Torres
He's a
Tapia?
family friend.
Family friend, and you knew him for approximately how many years?
32.
Okay, so you feel like you're well acquainted with his
Yes.
family, his children, his marriages, and
Yes,
okay.
sir.
Okay. Did Mr. Tapia pass away on May 18th of 2021?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and he lived in Fort Bend County at the time of his death?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and do you have any knowledge of a written will, like a last will and testament that Mr. Tapia
No.
might have left behind?
No.
Okay, never heard anything about that.
Mm-mm.
Okay, and was Mr. Tapia married on the date of his death?
Yes, sir.
And his wife was Reynald Reyes Tapia,
Yes.
correct? You know her well?
Very
Okay.
well.
Okay, and was that Mr. Tapia's only marriage?
Yes.
Okay, excuse me. So he was never divorced?
No.
Okay, and did he have 3 children?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you heard the testimony before, but it was Valerie,
Valerie,
Jennifer.
Jennifer, and Alex.
Okay.
Alexander.
Never heard of there being any other children adopted
No.
or raised in their home?
No.
Okay, and in fact, all 3 of those children were born to the marriage of Valentine and Reynald, correct?
Yes, sir.
Reynald is the mother of all 3 of those children.
Yes, sir.
And all those children survived Valentine's death and are still alive today,
Yes,
correct?
sir.
And do you have any financial or economic interest in Mr. Tapia's estate?
No.
You didn't owe the estate any money and it doesn't owe you money? Okay.
Nope.
I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Novi.
Thank you, Judge. Evangeline, I also sent you a questionnaire and you were very gracious and filled that out and sent it back to me. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay. And none of the answers have changed since you sent that back to me?
Nope.
Okay. Have you heard the testimony of Cecilia? In other words, you, Miss Bowery, you heard what her answers were to my questions?
Yes.
Okay. And you would agree with all the answers to those questions, is that
Yes,
correct?
sir. Yes, sir.
All right. And again, Valentine didn't owe you any money or anything like that, is that correct?
No, sir.
Okay. Judge, I pass this witness.
All right. Any further witnesses for the airship?
No, Judge, that's all we have.
Okay, Mr. Novi, your fee in the matter?
Judge, I probably forgot to send in your format of the attorney ad litem fees, and it would be $500 for this matter.
All right, after listening to testimony of Cecilia Bari and Evangeline Bernardino, the court finds
Yes, sir.
by clear and convincing evidence, Seaton's errors are those listed in the judgment declaring heirship. I'm going to discharge Mr. Novi from his duties as attorney ad litem and award him a fee on the amount of, is it $525 is my standard fee? So is that what
That's what I forgot, Judge. Sometimes when you get to be,
$525.
sometimes when you get to be my age, you sort of forget things.
That's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. You are free to go, Mr. Novi. Mr. Adams, why don't you call your witness for the administration? Thank you for your help, Mr. Novi, by the way.
Thank you, Judge. I'll send that order in.
Thank you.
Our witness is Reynald Reyes Tapia, our applicant.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, Reynald, would you state your full name for the judge?
Reynald Reyes Tapia.
Okay, and Valentin Torres Tapia was your husband, is that correct?
Yes.
He passed away on May 18th of 2021.
Yes.
And at the time of his death, did he maintain his permanent residence in Fort Bend County, Texas?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Tapia passed away without leaving a written will, is that correct?
Yes.
You made a search for a will and
I did.
none exists.
None
In fact,
exists.
you don't have a will for yourself, or you didn't at that time.
No, I did not.
And you're fairly certain that he did not do a will.
He didn't do
Okay,
it.
okay, all right. But there is a necessity for an administration of the estate, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And as far as the children of your marriage go, how many children did you and Mr. Tapia have?
I have 3.
Okay, would you name them for me, please?
Valerie Tapia, Jennifer Tapia, and Alexander Tapia.
Okay, and no other children adopted?
No other
Okay,
children.
just those 3.
Those 3.
And obviously the 2 of you were married on the date of Mr. Tapia's passing.
Yes.
Only marriage that he ever had, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And although there was not a will, there is a need to have an administration of the estate, right? And all of the heirs, that being yourself and your 3 children, have agreed that there should be an independent administration. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And all of you have signed a document stating that they believe you should be
Yes,
you're the
sir.
proper person to serve as the independent administrator,
Yes,
correct?
sir.
And those documents, those consents have been filed with the court, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you know any reason why you would be disqualified by law from serving in that capacity?
I don't.
Have you ever been convicted of a felony or any crime involving dishonesty?
Oh, no.
Okay. And you've never been declared mentally incapacitated by a court of law?
No.
Okay. Judge, that's all we have.
All right. After listening to testimony of Reynald Reyes Tapia, the court finds the decedent died intestate and there's a necessity for administration. The court will grant the request the applicant appoint Ms. Tapia as independent administrator of the estate to serve without bond. Ms. Tapia, I'm very sorry for your loss.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Mr. Adams, you and your client are free to go. Have a great day.
Okay.
You too.
Thank you.
We're going to try to get back to Mr. Carson, see if we can't get his case, his to work.
Okay.
We just finished signing this. Hold on.
Oh, no.
Carson, you there?
Your Honor?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
No.
You can't? No. I can hear him. He can't hear me.
I can hear you, Mr. Carson, but
Yep.
it breaks
Can you
in.
hear me?
It breaks up. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to try to turn your video on, and then we're going to try to get through this hearing, but you're breaking up. And if my court reporter can't get an accurate record, I am going to have to reschedule this for another day, but let's try to attempt this today. Okay?
I certainly appreciate it. Your Honor, I apologize for the air. Anything you I control. But
Mr. Carson, I can't make out a word you're saying.
Can you hear it?
let's do this. We're on the record in 24 CPR 040394, state of Richard M. Newton. All those who intend to testify, if you would raise your right hand to be sworn by the court. If I could have the witnesses on the screen to where I can see them. All right. You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony provided here today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God. I did not get a response. I can't. Can you make anything out, Stephanie?
You hear that?
No, sir.
No.
Yeah, we can't make it out. It's just so broken up.
Okay.
It's something to do with your internet connection, Mr. Carson.
Okay.
I wish I had a better answer for you.
I guess
Mr. Newton, if you would state,
I appreciate it, Your Honor. It's sorry.
Mr. Carson, I can barely make out what you're saying. I'll tell you what, Mr. Carson, contact Danny. We'll try to get you on another docket as quickly as possible to have this case heard.
Thank you.
Can't hear.
Yeah, I can't make out anything. All right.
That wasn't so bad.
No, not at all. All right. I think I got everything signed too. Let me see here. Yeah. Okay. That's everything.